Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down, the greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hey, this is Wes Cage, and you're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Wes Cage, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm absolutely delighted to have you now. I'm looking forward to diving into your music and career over the next bit. Now, first and foremost, do you consider yourself an actor who plays music or a musician who acts?
I consider myself a complete hybrid of the of the musician and actor caliber. Because they both emerged simultaneously from me when I was a child.
Right, I getcha. And you released The Wolf at the end of October. It's a different sound for what you're known for. What can you tell us about the track?
Well, I definitely wanted to connect with the masses on a broader scale. I wanted to make something that was radio friendly and something that could definitely, find its way into concerts that are also um, have a larger amount of people there.
See, I see. I suppose black metal, which what you're known for, isn't too radio friendly. There's not a lot of stations playing it.
No, it's not. And I made an album called Prehistoric Technology. I did that and I released that 2014, 2015. And that kind of showed the transition I made from black metal to more of a kind of almost like a new metal sound or active rock sound. And then now it's evolved into this.
The Wolf, it's about the dichotomy of the higher and lower self. How did you kind of get into the mindset and find the inspiration for the track?
Well, when I first started working with Keith, after my manager set up the series of writing sessions, we started talking about symbolism and some spiritual concepts. I think that this definitely, became a matter of higher and lower self, especially when we started getting ready to do the music video. Vicente Cordero, the director, he definitely saw that the song was about that, and I thought that would be a pretty excellent portion of mysticism to bring to the world, because it's one of the most understandable, I think, of all of it. Some of the stuff gets really esoteric and complex, but the higher and lower self dichotomy is pretty understandable, because I think everyone can relate to that instantly, where we have days where we feel like we could be the president of planet Earth, and then we have days where we feel like we're just not capable of anything.
I like it. And you mentioned Keith. It's Keith Wallen from Breaking Benjamin. He co-wrote it with you. What impact did he have on the track?
He did a lot. I mean, he definitely, he even pretty much chose the vocal register that the track was sung in. So he did quite a bit. Him and I were going back and forth with lyrics together, and as soon as that chorus was found, I knew we had something amazing.
You definitely did. Now, these days, you're more of a dedicated family man than in your past. How has that kind of affected the music you make, do you think?
I think that it makes me more practical with my music, to know that I'm a family man, and it also probably, I think, has made my emotional capacity much wider and deeper. It's made me have a lot more depth to my emotions, and also my concepts and awareness itself.
I know for me, I have two daughters as well, and I know it completely changed my emotional level. I mean, it turned me into a bit of a softie. I mean, I cry at films I wouldn't have normally cried at and stuff like that.
Totally, it does that. It's powerful how that happens.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Speaking of movies, actually, you're also known for scoring movies. How do you approach the two different styles of music production?
Well, for making a song, of course, I will really try to find that chorus and build a track from that part, and kind of make the different sections from there that sound like they would be in accordance with the chorus. And then as for scoring films, I really make sure that I have the footage in front of me, and we find it's almost like the theme of the film has to be it's like the chorus of the song. It's of course kind of related, but there's so much stuff in between theme songs, or when there's like a a part of the track where there's like a climax musically. There's a lot of space where sometimes there's just very minimal amounts of stuff that we want to put, or it could even be just one droning note, so it's like, it's definitely very different. I definitely go about it by having the footage in front of me, though, always.
At this stage, I suppose I love diving into my guests' history when it comes to music to give the listeners a sense of where they come from. So it might be a tricky one, but can you remember your earliest musical memory?
My earliest musical memory was me, and she had a huge impact on me, was listening to Enya. That was the first one for me, and I became, and that might be the reason why. I think that's the reason why I'm, even in my black metal, I like the more melodic stuff with the kind of the mystical sound to it. Enya is definitely huge for me.
I like it. I like it. Bit unexpected, but I definitely like it. And, can you pinpoint the exact moment that kind of sparked a desire to become a musician?
I would say the first moment that really did that for me was when I was like 13 years old, and I was listening to Rammstein and System of a Down all the time. And I was like, I enjoyed listening to music and stuff, but when I started getting into Rammstein, System of a Down, and then I started getting like Cradle of Filth and stuff like that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick up a guitar and really do this now, and go back to what I used to do when I was a kid, where I would play for a company and stuff like that. I really took it very seriously and started with my first riff, which was the intro for Crazy Train, and after that, I really I just went for it. And then 3 years later, I wound up doing an album with Jack Douglas, who's known for, of course, like Cheap Trick and the Beatles. And then shortly after that, we took everything that we had kind of arranged, and we went to Sweden when I was like 17, and wound up doing the album with Frederick Nordstrom, who's done stuff with like In Flames and Demon Boyger and stuff.
And something that intrigues me is, growing up in such a prestigious showbiz family, was there a lot of pressure put on you to enter show business?
I think there wasn't much pressure, because it's interesting how it naturally occurs for anybody that's related to me in this family. We have this just genetic programming where we're all artistic, and we all have a insatiable desire for achieving catharsis and satisfaction with our own creative expression, to where it happens by itself. It's wild. I mean, there's even people that I have to make sure I asked the person who told me this exactly, but apparently there's like some Coppolas that are not, they can't even speak very good English. Like they're in Italy, but they're all also artists. they're all of them.
Wow. Any chance you can bottle that and like share it around with the rest of us? As well, something that intrigued me, having more access to connections than, say, people might when they're usually starting off music. What has your experience been getting your music out there, getting your name out there? Obviously, it's not as hard as, say, someone starting off from the very bottom.
Well, what happens, I think, with music, in no matter how many like contacts we have, or even if we have no contacts, or even no idea how we're gonna get a project off the ground, it's so important to have those first shows where you are playing the small venues and really like getting a name for your project, and then from there getting the larger venues and making connections this way, and getting that fan base. Even if the fan base is small, I think that first and those initial shows and concerts are so important because it's making your project real. And then as time goes on, really starting to ask the right people for manager and stuff like that, and getting a proper crew together. But it occurred to me when I was like, I think it was 2020. I was like, I never really had a music manager that I was, that I thought was truly compatible and just had the right idea. So I finally was like, who could direct me to a proper music manager? And then I thought, I grew up luckily with Rob Zombie being a friend of my family and my father and I asked him, who's the best manager you think in the world? Could you send me someone that or recommend someone for me? And then he told me that Blasco would be a great fit for me, and he sent me his contact. We set up a meeting, and I mean, I literally met like a miracle of a man. Blasco is just impeccable, and that was a huge game changer, musically for me, and it brought me to another level, and I got signed to Pavement and stuff. So it's having the right manager is really important. I mean, someone that can focus on that, because with music, it's I know some people who are kind of like they have a band, but then they're also I had a bandmate that was like this, where he also is really good at the business side, and it's great to be good at the business side, but when you're writing an album and stuff like that, you want definitely someone to focus on that, like a manager, while you focus on the creative aspect completely.
Very true. Very true. And, it's called Concerts That Made Us. So I have to ask you, as a concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
Well, I would say, even though I'm not doing this kind of music anymore, I saw Septic Flesh play live with Cradle of Filth and Satyricon, and the live performance they did with the backing track they were playing to was all orchestral, and I was like, wow, it's amazing this whole band is playing to that. So that really affected me. Also just the perfection of Evanescence, just that vocalist is she's just so perfect at everything she does. There's not even a fraction where she's off. So that's huge. And then of course, I'll never forget when I was little, I saw Gypsy Kings live, and that was just remarkable. I was on my uncle's shoulders. My uncle's like 7'1" too, so I was like really high up, and watching Gypsy Kings was just epic.
Yeah, I'd say so. And the moment we're all waiting for, I'm looking forward to hearing about this now. For any listeners that haven't caught one of your shows, what could they expect?
One thing about my live performances that are pretty awesome is that if they know the track, for some reason this happens, it's kind of annoying for me too, because it's like, oh, I wish I would have recorded it this way, but somehow my live performances outdo my recordings. Like for some reason, something happens where I've rehearsed the song a lot, and I start doing a little extra stuff there that might, make people be like, whoa, why didn't you record that? But so definitely more energetic performances. And also I'm very spiritual. So I do my best to say things between songs that someone could take home with them and keep for the rest of their life. As I try to say some proverbial and powerful things that can really empower an individual to know.
I really like that now. I always, like, even if it's not that, but I always feel like I love concerts more when there's some sort of audience interaction in between the songs, And if you think of all the gigs you've played over time, is there one that sticks out in your head as maybe the most perfect experience you've had?
Well, I'd love to have you at multiple concerts. We'll definitely arrange that. The best gig I ever played was definitely it was in the Palms Casino, the Palms in Vegas Casino, and I played in the Pearl Room. And that was when I had the project Wes Cage with me, and we had won an award as the best new artist. That was just really potent. It was a two-track performance we did. We did a song called "Where I'm From" the Prehistoric Technology album, which is a very kind of like gothic kind of melodic Nine Inch Nails sounding track, and then we whipped straight into a very heavy track, and it just blew the audience away, and we wound up getting that award.
Wow, it's fairly cool. Not to get too negative now, but to flip it around, if you think of all the gigs, is there one where things maybe went wrong and it's the worst experience, and how did you overcome it?
There were two shows back when I was doing the more black metal stuff. One was just the setup they had sound wise was a little half-assed, and you know, it wasn't very advanced. The vocals just could not reach a volume to where you could hear them no matter what, and I had to do the entire set with twice as much aggression and lung power, and I felt like I had damaged my throat for the rest of my life after that. Luckily, no injury, but it was just obnoxious to know that they could not hear me pretty much, and that I needed to be more of a showman. But also the first show I've ever done with Eyes of Noctum as a full band, technically second show, but I went on stage, and we had this huge intro where, we'd play the intro and we'd walk out on stage to this kind of dramatic, epic, classical composition, and everyone's all excited seeing us, raise the horns up to everyone like this, and then we whip into the song, and literally I could not find my microphone. It just, no one put it out there, and I wound up having to just windmill to the entire track with my hair.
Oh my God.
It was embarrassing because, of all shows, my dad was there, Rob Zombie was there. I mean, it was a everyone was there, and yeah. So they hid it. Some guy hid the microphone by the monitor. There's something I've never heard of that before.
Oh my God. It's typical though. It would be the show when everyone is there to see you that it would happen though. It's just one of those things. And when it comes to showtime, your pre-show and post-show ritual, how do you psych yourself up? And then afterwards, how do you wind down?
Well, the some of the intros that I create that, the audience hears before we play, that really psychs me up, because it's almost like my soundtrack that's also getting me ready as well as getting the audience ready. And then so that's huge. It's kind of like my portal into the session or concert rather. And then as for winding down, I really have to take a second to myself after talking with everyone and doing photos or signing autographs and stuff. Or, I try my best to, like, back in the day, it was alcohol, but I'm sober now, so I don't do that. So it'd probably be like probably have a tea or something like that and just, wind down as much as possible.
Getcha. I getcha. And, when you're out on tour playing gigs these days compared to the old days, what kind of antics do you get up to?
Well, I think that if I were to compare myself to what I was before, like Arcane, that entity that I would become with the black metal stuff, I think I'm still very similar to that individual. It's just the the music itself that's changed. But antics wise, I'm still doing the the high energy and kind of like godly gestures and stuff like that. Try to get people awakened and stuff, because that's the only reason why I am an artist, like, because I want to raise the consciousness of the world and try to see if I can lead people the right way.
I get you. And when it comes to your personal life, your family, how do you balance the demands of being an artist and actor with having a family?
I do my best to really make sure that that all the holidays and important days are all celebrated and kind of used as like markers of where we're at. I'm also a pagan. I practice paganism, and it keeps me centered because I am able to know what season I'm in, and each 3 month section of the year. And then, of course, I do my best to just make sure that my interactions with my children are really meaningful. I try to give my sons the words of wisdom that made me become who I am. Like I just recently, we saw my fiance and I had dinner with my two boys. They came in from East Coast, and I started showing them about runes and how to read runes and what they mean and stuff. And my son Lucian's such a magical boy. He had his own opinions on what the runes meant and stuff when we'd read them, because he's already connected to that, I think. So it was pretty epic.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I have to say, I'm intrigued by that kind of thing. What got you into paganism?
Well, I think that the thing that got me into it is definitely my connection with nature, and also my interests. My grandfather was very he even said his that he was pagan pretty much always, and my father also has a close connection to it. So I think that the family encouragement plus my being gravitating towards the nature definitely had a huge impact. And I kind of the paganism I'm into too is kind of like a universal paganism, to where I've taken pretty much every single pantheon from every culture and kind of started to celebrate that. So I'm in the Norse paganism, Celtic paganism, Semitic, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, all of it.
Oh, kind of a mix of them all to suit yourself.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. And, before we dive into the last couple of questions, future plans that are set in stone, can we expect an album soon? New music, new gigs?
Absolutely. I'm really trying to, I think The Wolf has done great. And I think it's time for an album to come out, because it's been 8 years. And there is an album that I did, after Prehistoric Technology, that has not been released. I did it with Ryan Green, who's known for working with Green Day and Megadeth and Benedictum. Who else? He's also worked with I believe he did some work with Jay-Z some way. But so there is a huge album, and it's timeless, and it's kind of a sacred album. It was so difficult to make. I played every instrument on it, and it's the album that sprouted my gray hair. It caused that to come out because it was so intense. I mean, I was doing drums, guitars, bass, vocals, keyboards, and then when I would come home and I should have went to sleep, I was doing the industrial and soundscape synth work, and then I'd bring that to work the next day after I didn't sleep on a hard drive, and then go back and repeat it over and over again. And I, you know, just not eating that much, but great album. So that plus some other things that I have made in between, I think that we could take The Wolf and at least 5 tracks from that, plus 4 more tracks from this, and have a nice 10 to 12 track album that could be released.
That'd be pretty epic. And I'm sure lots of people are dying to know. In the past, you've collaborated with your father. Can we expect more collaborations in the future? Maybe some poetry, spoken word.
It's interesting you mentioned that. It's literally my dad and I have been talking about spoken word poetry track where I would play piano or something, and then he would recite his poetry in a musical way. We've been thinking about that since 2015, 14, when I would visit him and play piano. So I think it'd be pretty epic to do, and I want to make sure that we do that. I just spoke to him last month about it.
We'll all be looking forward to it. So, and we'll dive into the last couple of questions. So these are a couple of fun, random music questions, but I'm intrigued to see your answers. So if you could see any band or musician from history in concert for one night only, who would it be?
Just because of his intensity and aggression and his depth, would be Beethoven. I would love to see that, because I know that he had such a hard life, and he really hit those keys hard. I'd love to.
Nice. Kind of thinking outside the box as well. I wouldn't have expected it. And the next one. Now, this is a weird one. If you had to spend 24 hours locked inside a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
That's awesome. Any musician from history. I think it would have to be, even though he's still with us, I think it'd be Ozzy, because something about his energy I really understand, and I would love to create guitar riffs that can go with his amazing voice.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd imagine when you get him alone as well in the room, he'd be a pretty cool guy. Like the stories he'd have and everything when he's just chilling out, it'd be a pretty good time, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
And the final one. Now, I've been told this is near impossible, but what song would appear on the soundtrack to your life?
Wow. That's powerful. Probably Enya's Caribbean Blue. I think that track has kind of has my essence. I feel like my essence is reflected in that for some reason.
Perfect choice. I absolutely love that track. Brilliant. Listen, Wes, thanks a million. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you now.
It's been such an honor. Thank you so much.
The creepy kid.
guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking. Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.